Legendary Passages, Episode 56, Thieves and Thespius. Legends of Boetia, from Pausanias' Description of Greece. Last time we reviewed various fables of Heracles. This time we finish our section on him, and cover several myths of Boetia, including Thebes, the Cabeirium, Mount Phix, Onchestus, and Thespiae. Near the Neistan Gate of Thebes is an image of Heracles the Nose-docker, commemorating his infamous attack on the Minyans. The Cabeirium is a sanctuary near a grove of Demeter. Its peoples have long histories. Nearby is a sanctuary of Heracles, commemorating his taking of the horses from the army of Orchomenus. Mount Phix is where the Sphinx originated. She was either the leader of a pirate fleet based there on the mountain, or one of the children of Laius by concubines, and slew all of her brothers, save Oedipus. Thespiae lies at the foot of Mount Helicon, and was named after a daughter of Oedipus, or Thespius of Athens. They worship love most of all. Heracles lay with the 50 daughters of Thespius, save one, and they all bore him sons. Next time, we begin a new section on the stories of Laius and his son Oedipus. Thieves and Thespius, a legendary passage, from Pausanias' Description of Greece, translated by W.H.S. Jones. Along the road from the Neistan Gate are 3 sanctuaries. There is a sanctuary of Thebes, with an image of white marble. Adjoining it is a sanctuary of the Fates, while the third is of Zeus of the market. Zeus is made of stone. The Fates have no images. A little further off in the open stands Heracles, surnamed Nose-docker. The reason for the name is, as the Thebans say, that Heracles cut off the noses, as an insult, of the heralds who come from Orchomenus to demand the tribute. The Cabeirium. Advancing from here 25 stadies, you come to a grove of Cabeirian Demeter and the maid. The initiated are permitted to enter it. The sanctuary of the Cabeirium is some 7 stadies distant from this grove. I must ask the curious to forgive me if I keep silence as to who the Cabeirium are, and what is the nature of the ritual performed in honor of them and of the mother. But there is nothing to prevent my declaring to all what the Thebans say was the origin of the ritual. They say that once there was in this place a city with inhabitants called Cabeirium, and that Demeter came to know Prometheus, one of the Cabeirium, and ate Naius' son, and entrusted something to their keeping. What was entrusted to them, and what happened to it, seems to me a sin to put into writing. But at any rate, the rites are a gift of Demeter to the Cabeirium. At the time of the invasion of the Epigoni and the taking of Thebes, the Cabeirium were expelled from their homes by the Argives, and the rites for a while ceased to be performed. But they go on to say that afterwards, Pelargi, the daughter of Pausanias, and Isthmiades, her husband, established the mysteries here to begin with, but transferred them to the place called Alexiaris. But because Pelargi conducted the initiation outside the ancient borders, Telandes and those who were left of the clan of the Cabeirium returned again to Cabeirium. Various honors were to be established for Pelargi by Telandes in accordance with the oracle from Dodona, one being the sacrifice of a pregnant victim. The wrath of the Cabeirium no man can placate, as has been proved on many occasions. For certain private people dared to perform in Naupactus the ritual, just as it was done in Thebes, and soon afterwards justice overtook them. Then again, certain men of the army of Xerxes left behind with Mardonius and Boetia entered the sanctuary of the Cabeirium, perhaps in the hope of great wealth, but rather, I suspect, to show their contempt of its gods. All these immediately were struck with madness, and flung themselves to their deaths into the sea or from the tops of precipices. Again, when Alexander, after his victory, wasted with fire all the Thespiae, including Thebes itself, some men from Macedonia entered the sanctuary of the Cabeirium, as it was an enemy territory, and were destroyed by thunder and lightning from heaven. So sacred this sanctuary has been from the beginning. On the right of the sanctuary is a plain named after Taenarus the seer, whom they hold to be a son of Apollo by Malia. There is also a large sanctuary of Heracles, surnamed Epictetus, binder of horses. For they say that the Orchomenians came to this place with an army, and that Heracles, by night, took their chariot horses and bound them tight. Mount Phix. Farther on, we come to the mountain from which they say the Sphinx, chanting a riddle, sallied to bring death upon those she caught. Others say that roving with a force of ships on a piratical expedition, she put in at Anthedon, seized the mountain I mention, and used it for plundering raids, until Oedipus overwhelmed her by the superior numbers of the army he had with him on his arrival from Corinth. There is another version of the story, which makes her the natural daughter of Laius, who, because he was fond of her, told her the oracle delivered to Cadmus from Delphi. No one, they say, except the kings, knew the oracle. Now Laius, the story goes on to say, had sons by concubines, and the oracle delivered from Delphi applied only to Epicast and her sons. So, when any of her brothers came in order to claim the throne from the Sphinx, she resorted to trickery in dealing with them, saying that if they were the sons of Laius, they should know the oracle that came to Cadmus. When they could not answer, she would punish them with death, on the ground that they had no valid claim to the kingdom or to the relationship. But Oedipus came because it appears he had been told the oracle in a dream. Onchestus. Distant from this mountain, 15 stadies, are the ruins of the city Onchestus. They say that here dwelt Onchestus, a son of Poseidon. In my day there remained a temple and an image of Onchestian Poseidon, and the grove which Homer too praised. Thespiae. Taking a turn left from the Cabeirian sanctuary, and advancing about 50 stadies, you come to Thespiae, built at the foot of Mount Helicon. They say that Thespia was a daughter of Oedipus, who gave her name to the city, while others say that Thespius, who was descended from Erechtheus, came from Athens, and was the man after whom the city was called. In Thespiae is a bronze image of Zeus' Savior. They say about it that when a dragon once was devastating their city, the god commanded them that every year one of their youths, upon whom the lot fell, should be offered to the monster. Now, the names of those who perished they say that they do not remember. But when the lot fell upon Cleostratus, his lover Menostratus, they say, devised a trick. He made a bronze breastplate with a fish hook, the point turned outwards, upon each of the plates. Clad in this breastplate, he gave himself up, of his own free will, to the dragon, convinced that having done so, he would, though destroyed himself, prove the destroyer of the monster. This is why Zeus has been surnamed Savior. The image of Dionysus, and also that of Fortune, and in another place that of Health. Here the text becomes corrupt. Of the gods, the Thespians have from the very beginning honored Love most, and they have a very ancient image of him, an unwrought stone. Who established among the Thespians the custom of worshipping Love more than any other god, I do not know. He is worshipped equally by the people of Cabeirium on the Hellespont, who were originally colonists from Erythrae and Ionia, but today are subject to the Romans. Most men consider Love to be the youngest of the gods and the son of Aphrodite. But Olin the Lycian, who composed the oldest Greek hymns, says in a hymn to Eileithyia that she was the mother of love. Later than Olin, both Pamphos and Orpheus wrote hexameter verse and composed poems on love, in order that they might be among those sung by the Lycomedae to accompany the ritual. I read them after making conversation with a torchbearer. Of these things I will make no further mention. Hesiod, or he who wrote the Theogony fathered on Hesiod, writes, I know, that Chaos was born first, and after Chaos, Earth, Tartarus, and Love. Sappho of Lesbos wrote many poems about love, but they are not consistent. Later on, Lysippus made a bronze love for the Thespians, and previously Praxiteles, one of the Pentalic marble. The story of Phryne, and the trick she played on Praxiteles I have related in another place. The first to remove the image of love, it is said, was Gaius, the Roman emperor. Claudius, they say, sent it back to the Thespiae, but Nero carried it away a second time. At Rome, the image perished by fire. Of the pair who sinned against the god, Gaius was killed by a private soldier, just as he was giving the password. He had made the soldier very angry by always giving the same password with a covert sneer. The other, Nero, in addition to his violence to his mother, committed the accursed and hateful crimes against his wedded wives. The modern love of Thespiae was made by the Athenian Menedorus, who copied the work of Praxiteles. Here too are statues made by Praxiteles himself, one of Aphrodite and one of Phryne, both Phryne and the goddess being of stone. Elsewhere too is a sanctuary of black Aphrodite, with a theatre and a marketplace well worth seeing. Here is set up Hesiod in bronze. Not far from the marketplace is a Victory of bronze and a small temple of the Muses. In it are small images made of stone. At Thespiae is also a sanctuary of Heracles. The priestess here is a virgin, who acts as such until she dies. The reason of this is said to be as follows. Heracles, they say, had intercourse with the 50 daughters of Thespius, except one, in a single night. She was the only one who refused to have connection with him. Heracles, thinking that he had been insulted, condemned her to remain a virgin all her life, serving him as his priest. I have heard another story, how Heracles had connection with all the virgin daughters of Thespius in one and the same night, and how they all bore him sons, the youngest and the eldest bearing twins. But I cannot think it credible that Heracles would rise to such a pitch of wrath against a daughter of a friend. Moreover, while he was still among men, punishing them for insolence, and especially such as were impious towards the gods, he would not himself have set up a temple and appointed a priestess to himself, just as though he were a god. As a matter of fact, this sanctuary seemed to me too old to be of the time of Heracles, the son of Amphitryon, and to belong to Heracles, called one of the Idaean dactyls, to whom I found the people of Erythrae in Ionia and of Tyre possessed sanctuaries. Nevertheless, the Boeotians were not acquainted with this name of Heracles, seeing that they themselves say that the sanctuary of Demeter of Mycalesus has been entrusted to Idaean Heracles.